So let's do interview practice. I went to I attended the English class and I learned um lots of things. And my teacher made me some questions, so I'm gonna review it. Okay. Oh, I cannot read. Why leave Japan? Where do you see? Mm, yourself in 5 years? Okay. Okay, so I think I'm going to talk about the introduction first. So let's see if it's good, better than yesterday. Let's see. Introduction. Okay. So, hi. Let me introduce a little bit of myself. I'm a graduate student at university in Japan, majoring in information technology, and I've been taking a leave of absence for a year, and I'm thinking of continuing it one more year. And I generally learned and at university I generally learned wait at university I learned general basic foundation the basic foundation I want to say. Okay. So at university, I learned the basic foundation of the IT fields, such as algorithms, networks, databases, and so on. But I spent the most of the time on game development. I made 6 or 7 games, and uh, I experienced team-based development. I have two favorite. I made I made a lot of games. Wait, I made I created 6 or 5 I created 6 or 5 games and and I have two favorite experiences. And I have two favorite experiences which are team-based one. So I created a lot of games and I created I created maybe 6 games and four and 4 games I created six game in total, and 4 games out of six, um, were team based. What were team based developments, and I have two favorite experiences. One of the first one is AI tag game. I created an AI. Wait. I created the AI tagger with reinforcement learning. And the second reinforcement learning, I created the AI tagger with reinforcement learning. The second one is a brain training game. Brain training game. We created for competition where we got the Grand Prix. We got the Grand Prix. Grand Prix. I also worked for some companies. Some companies. I also worked for some companies. I was working on a I was working for a startup company as a contractor. Startup company and I did front end side. I did both front end and back end. Speaking of front end, I use Next.js, TypeScript. Japanese startup companies. I use Next.js, TypeScript, and so I use them in Japanese, but I've been relearning it. I've been relearning it in English. And also, speaking of back end, I was doing I was doing AWS. Implement. Honestly, implicate. No. Im um Manipulate. I manipulated. I manipulated. I manipulated AWS. I manipulated AWS and I wrote some codes, Python code to scrape Japanese companies' information. And also I used EC2, AWS EC2 to increase the instances to execute the Python code simultaneously. Yes, concurrently, simultaneously. So I don't need to explain this, but okay. And as for qualification, I've got Applied Information Technology Engineering examination, which is one of the most famous exams qualification in Japan, which requires deep and broad knowledge in IT fields. So this is all about me. Thank you. It's kind of getting better, right? Okay, so let me talk about it again. Was it long? I don't know. So let me re um begin from the startup companies one. So I also worked for some companies. I I also worked for some companies. I worked for a startup company in Japan as a full stack engineer, and as as for front end side, I use Next.js and TypeScript. Wait, firstly, what did I create? So I worked for some companies. I worked for a Japanese startup company. Then I created I was developing um, an application that automates simple tasks on automates simple tasks in a sales department in a general company. That automates simple tasks in a sales department in a general company. And I was a full stack engineer. As for as for front end side, I was using Next.js, Tailwind, Tailwind.css, Next.js, Tailwind, and TypeScript. And I was using it in Japanese. I was using it in Japanese. I was using it in Japanese, but I've been relearning it in English. And I was also doing the backend side. I was using AWS. It's so long, I don't know, but it depends on the company. So I was using AWS, and basically it was basically the application was a serverless Lambda based application. So I used a Lambda a lot with Python code, with Python, hmm, with Python, And also I used a lot I used I manipulated EC2 in the AWS in order to increase the instances that execute increase the number of instances that execute my Python code, which scrape information from scrape information of Japanese companies. So this is about it. And as I also have got a qualification, which is Applied Information Technology Engineering Examination, which is one of the most famous exam in Japan, which requires and re it requires in Japan it requires both. Do you say both? Both? Both. It requires both deep and broad knowledge in IT fields. IT fields. I also manipulated the SQL database. So I'm so familiar with I'm familiar with databases because I used database to take the exams to hold that qualification. Both. So, yes, this is about my summary. Okay, what should I talk about if you don't want to hear the any details? So, hello, I'm Tomoya. Oh, I said that. Hello, my name is. I'm a graduate student at university in Japan, majoring in information technology, and I've been taking a leave of absence for a year, and I'm thinking of continuing it one more year, continuing it for one more year, for one more year, continuing it for one more year. Um, at university, I learned the basic foundation of IT fields such as algorithms, networks, databases, and so on. But I spent the most of the time on game development experiences. I created I think 6 games in my life. I created 7 games in my life. I created 7 games in my life, and 4 out of 7, I 4 experiences. 4 out of 7 were right 4 experiences, and 4 experiences out of 7 and 4 experiences were team-based development, and I have two favorite experiences. The first one is AI tag game. I created AI tag game, well, in which I created AI with reinforcement learning. The second one, mm, the second one, the second one is what's that? The second one is a brain training game, which we created to join a competition, game development competition, and we've got the Grand Prix. I also worked for some companies. I worked for a Japanese startup company as a full stack engineer. We created application which automates simple tasks in a sales department in a general company. Simple tasks in a general company's sales department. As for front end side, I use Next.js. And then secondly, and also I worked for a non-IT company. It was in a sales department, and I was working as a salesman, but I automated some stuffs, some simple tasks, and my colleagues realized that realized that realized that I was doing that, and eventually I collaborated with the IT department workers, engineers, and created applications with Python applications. As for automation, mm, so I automated some simple tasks for coworkers with Google Apps scripts because they were using Excel. Um, but as for application, um we created one that fetches data from YouTube Analytics because the company has a lot of performers, and we created with Python, created by using Python. So this was a great experience. Actually, I didn't collaborate. Yeah, I didn't collaborate. So what did I learn? What? No, what am I doing? Okay, so let me finish the introduction. I don't need to collaborate with IT department because it's lying, and if it's true, what happens? Because we didn't use GitHub. We just had some Python code, and it was it is CLI line interface, command line interface. CLI, but I made a explainable, easy to understand a document that is easy to understand. Uh, the reason why I use Python is there were some coworkers who understand Python, so I really wanted to make it possible for them to make I really wanted to enable them to debug themselves independently since I was going to leave the company. Yes, that is why. Okay, so let's move on to the detail. But firstly, I need to complete the summarization, summary, introduction, overview, outline. Okay, so I'm I'm a graduate student at university in Japan, majoring in information technology. I've been taking a leave of absence for a year, and I'm thinking of I'm thinking of continuing for one more year. I at university I generally learned the basic foundation of IT fields. I generally learned the basic foundation of IT fields such as algorithms, database, networks, and so on. But I spent the most of the time on game development. I created 7 games in my life, but I created 7 games in my life, and 4 experiences were team-based development. I have and I have two favorite experiences, and I have two favorite experiences. The first one is AI tag game, where I in which I created AI by using reinforcement learning. The second one is a game. I created AI tech. What is source tree? Manage the versions. What is Git? Version control or version control. Version control. Version control system. Okay, so I have another experience, another favorite experience. That is hands-free, 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 hands-free shooting game. That is hands-free shooting game which requires your body movement and your voice to attack. We kind of tried to do agile management system. Agile with agile management, agile project management. We try to do the agile management system, agile management process, agile project management, agile project management, agile management. It is not the exact one, accurate, exact. It is not exactly the agile management, but agile like. Since we created the since we got the feedback from our friends and we reflected on the game, we reflected on a game, and we did it over and over again. We we repeated the process 3 times. We repeated the process three. We repeated the process 3 times. Reflect. P applicable put or spread something on the surface. Implement. we implemented the essence from that. We pick up the essence from that and implement it. We created the smallest parts of the game. We created the smallest. We created the smallest parts of the game and smallest piece of the game, and let our friends to play and make them they gave us they gave us feedback. They gave us feedback, and we made it. We implemented it. We pick up the essences from that, and we implemented it. So we created the smallest parts of the game, smallest version. We created the small version. We created the small version. In minimum viable product. I mean, minimum viable product. Uh, I let my friends to play that, and they gave us feedback. They gave us feedback. They gave us feedback. They gave us back. Gave us feedback. They gave us feedback, and we implement that. We implement some idea from that. We picked up some ideas from that and implemented them. Implemented them. So we kind of picked up the ideas, spirits. We picked up the spirits. We picked up the ideas. So they gave us feedback, and we picked up the ideas, and we implemented them on the game. We repeated the process 3 times. We repeated the process 3 times and gradually make it better. Gradually made it better. Gradually improved it better. Gradually improved it to make it better. Gradually improved it to make it better. Okay, so let's talk about the detail. So at university, what did you learn in detail? Yes, generally I learned algorithms. I think they are all the basic foundation. I mean, I learned algorithms by myself in detail because it is not practical. It is kind of studying things. So I learned lots of algorithms in university, and I implemented in practice. Since I've been doing competitive programming, I was I have an opportunity. I have lots of opportunity to use those algorithms, even though even though some of them that I learned in university that I learned at university was so difficult to use. It was great experience to expand my knowledge, my algorithm brain, to expand my algorithm brain. So that's just for me. Yes, introduction ended. So what about it? No, I can't read it. Eventually, broad, interesting. Yeah, my weakness and strength. Let me talk about it. So let me talk about the strength first. Two strengths. The weaknesses first. So one weakness, um, I often get shy when I speak. When I talk about things that I don't know. No, it's not my weakness. So wait, weakness. I have consistency. I have bravery. I have knowledge. Mm, my one of my weakness is over concentration. This is I've been struggling for long year. Over concentration. Once I start to once I start getting interested, like once I start getting interested in some something such for example, when I was practicing piano, I put every single time I put every single time I think 4 months. 4 months I only played piano and I didn't do any study. It was when I entered university. COVID hit. When COVID hit, when COVID hit, when COVID spread, I was so free. So I spent a month just to play piano. That was the summer vacation. Um, it was horrible. Speaking of the skill, it was a great experience because I couldn't play piano before that, and I got to I I eventually I came to eventually I became able to eventually I was able to eventually I became able to play such a difficult music. But I sold piano because it ta it it takes a lot of time for me. It takes a lot of time for me. It takes a lot of time for me. So once I earn a lot of money, I'm gonna buy it again. I'm gonna buy it again. But don't talk about like that. Talk about it like that. They don't care about musical instruments. So what is over concentration? When I start something new, for example, learning JavaScript or learning doing competitive programming or something like that, or something, um, I I do focus on it for a week or even month. Just do it, and it was my university life, and I've been trying to overcome this. I've been trying to overcome the weakness. I set the timer definitely to stop. I set the alarm. I set the timer. Do you say timer? Clock? Timer. Timer. I set timer before I start studying. I set timers before I start studying or working. Not to forget the time. In order not to forget the time. So I've been trying to overcome it. And the second weakness that I have, my second weakness is mm, I think that's I'm not shy though. Mm, I think that's my impulsion. Impulsion. Impulsion, strong urge to do something. Impulse. The active impelling. Impulsion. 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 For example, when I started, but I follow the rule because I was promising the previous job. I was working for 3 months, but at the at the beginning I promised with my friends who was working there, who invited me to the company. I promised with him that I only work for 3 months. So I don't break any promises. I don't break a promise. I don't break a promise, but I don't break a promise, but I often do an action suddenly. Do a sudden action. I often do a sudden action such as taking a leave of absence. Um, but actually I couldn't speak English then. I couldn't speak English when I started. When I started this period, when I started this semester. No, well, how do you say that? Semester. When I started the first semester, when I start when the beginning of the first semester. In the beginning of the first semester, in the beginning of the first semester, in the beginning of this first semester, in the beginning of this first semester, I couldn't speak English fluently. I couldn't speak English fluently, as fluent as now, as fluent as I am. I as fluent as I do. I couldn't speak I couldn't speak English as fluent as I do now. I do now. As fluent as now I do. As fluent as I do now. Um, so that is an impulsion. Yeah, I think I can change the word into energetic. Energy. Yeah, I have lots of energy to like take an action. But it's kind of recklessly. It's kind of done recklessly. So that is one of my obstacle of my life. Obstacle in my life. My life obstacle. So my strength. What is my strength? You know, you know that. My strength is not mediator. I wanna say I'm energetic. Yes, I'm energetic. Wait, consistency. So my strength is consistency. But actually, am I consistent? No, maybe not. So what did I talk about? Broad and broad. Oh, okay. I cannot read it. Should I say I couldn't read it? So let's see. Um, basic questions. Basic. Twisted. What are your ring weaknesses? And why do you want to for in a foreign country? What were you doing this year? Why do you want to work in country? um, reason work. And what do you see? Okay. What yourself 5 years? Describe yourself when conflicting. See yourself? Why are you interested in this job? Are you interested in this job? Why leave Japan? Why leave Japan? Tell me about the time you failed. Tell me yourself when failing. Salary expectation. Detail. Salary expectation. Any questions? Counter question. Counter questions. So, let me talk about them. So, what have you done? I'm gonna tell you about that later. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Firstly, my strength is what was that? I didn't decide it. My weakness, over concentration and impulsion. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. And strength. What is my strength? Mm, my strength is my strength is the way I'm the way I communicate with people. This is open and clear. Uh, I I try to avoid offending people, but I do say what I want to do straight. Since I experienced some managerial things. I experienced managerial things several times. I experienced managerial things. I explain. Wait. My strength is I know the managerial perspective. I experienced managerial things. I was in charge of. I was in charge of I was in charge of managerial role several times in a game development. So I know the perspective from the manager, from the supervisor. So when I send a message, I make it obvious. I try to make it obvious, easy to understand. I try to make it obvious and clear and easy to understand. Mm, So, so copy that. Strength, plural, strengths, weakness. I'm going to put I X. My strength, one of my strength is uh my biggest strength is communication. The how I communicate with people. The way I communicate with people. My behavior, my good behavior on my respectful. I'm respectful to people, but I avoid offending people. I try to avoid offending people. This because this prevents me from communicating it smoothly. But I also say what I want to say. But I also say what I want to do because um hmm, the way I communicate with people, um experience in managerial role, over saturation, impulsion. So this is my weakness because sometimes I make a mistake, make a misguided choice, such as yeah, in April I was invited from a company, which it was Japanese company, so it was a foreign country, it was a foreign company. It was a Japanese company who was based in America, which was which is based in America, which is based in America. I don't want to talk about it. Well, yeah. What are your weaknesses? Over concentration, impulsion, experience in managerial role, the way I communicate with people. Yes, firstly, my biggest strength is the way I communicate with people. The way the way in which I communicate with people. The way that I communicate with people. Um, I tried when I communicate, when I talk to people, I try to avoid offending them because it prevents me from communicating with communicating with that person smoothly. But I also say what I want to say. But I tell them my opinions and thoughts. And the way I tell them about it, and the way I tell them is kind of straight but polite. Straight but polite. For example, um, mm, for example, when someone makes a mistake, when someone makes a mistake, I need to, and I need to tell them that I need to tell that person about it. I need to tell that person about it. I, as a word, I choose a word. Then I choose a word. Then I choose words that don't offend them, such as yeah, this is wrong word. That is the basic communication. What are you talking about? Wow, what are you talking about? This is a basic communication in human lives. It's not my strength. Everyone does that. But what? Wait. Does does every engineer do that? No. So the way I communicate with people, so when someone makes a mistake and I need to tell them, then I don't say like this is wrong or this you're making a mistake or something like that. I don't say that because it's offending them. Instead, I would say what? So I don't believe myself 100% because when I tell them a mistake, when I tell them their mistake, when I tell them their mistake, I can't be I the mistake can be me. Hmm? I can't be the mistake. Mm, so the way I communicate with people, when someone makes a mistake, I don't tell them straight directly. mm, Offend them like this is a mistake or you're making a mistake. This is wrong or you're making a mistake or I don't say that. Instead, I would say what do I say? Is this actually working or I would twist the way of I would twist I would make it indirectly same because I don't believe that I don't believe myself 100%. I often make a mistake. So when I tell them their mistake, if I was mistaken, if I was if if I was the one mistaken, if I was the one mistaken, um it would be more disgusting to them. It would disgust them more. It would disgust them more. So I will point out the mistake. I will point out the mistake by by not believing myself at 100%, 100%. 99% I believe myself. But yeah, I don't say like you were wrong or I don't say you were wrong. I don't say that you were wrong. We are wrong. Yeah, we're correct because we are living. So experience in what is this? Experience. So the second strength that I have My second strength is experience in managerial role. My second strength is that I experienced several times. I experienced managerial. I experienced the managerial position. I experienced the managerial position several times. Not several times. A few times. Do you how many? Several times. Okay, can be three, several. I've experienced a managerial position. I've experienced a managerial position several times in game developments. So I know the perspective from managerial I I know the perspective. Hmm. I kind of know the I kind of recognize the I know I don't say 100%, but I don't say completely, but I know most of the perspective. I think I know them. So I guess I think I know the essence of the perspective. I think I know the essence of managerial perspective. So as a player, as a supervisor, as a player, I think I don't disturb the manager. Disturb manager. So as a player, I don't as a player as a so when I work as a player, I don't I would try I try not to um so so the competition game development so the so one of the game development experience that where we joined the competition, I was not a manager. I was not the manager. I was not managing like scheduling or something. So I was a player then, and I try not to disturb the manager because wait, who is the manager? Who is the manager? So the main the so there was a person who was a manager. I don't know who he is. Who is the manager? Experiences in managerial role. Managerial role. Hmm. So I haven't experienced the player, total player role, total player role. Mm. But I expect that I don't disturb the manager. I won't disturb. I expect that I won't disturb the manager. Since I know the perspective, I know the perspective, I know the perspective that the manager has, that managers have. I know the parts of perspective. I know the piece of, mm, I know the portion of, I know the portion of, wait, I know the, I know the essential part of, I think I know the essence of, I think I know the essence, spirits. I know the spirits of the perspective that managers have, since I experienced this managerial role several times in game development, several times in game development. So I think I know the spirits of their perspective. So I guess so I assume so I think so I suppose I won't disturb the manager. I will try I will try for example when sending a message, I will make it clear and easy to understand. I will make it clear and easy to understand. When I try to also in a situation when I explain something, explain what I'm doing or something, explain something, I would make it clear and obvious. Since I was struggling being explained, being explained something to, being explained, being told. I was struggling with being told something explained hardly, like obscure, blurred, blurred things. Okay, so let me move on to the next topic. What are your net weaknesses? I was talking about it. Can't tell me what I've done. What were you doing this year? So I've been doing learning English because at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the first semester, I wasn't able to speak English fluently. Um, in April, so so in April, May, June, in April, May, I was preparing for um job hunting. Um, I did like creating portfolios, creating a portfolio, or I was creating my portfolio and looking for a job. And in May, I was invited to an interview from a Japanese company, which is based in America, which is based in America. And I did the interview, and I couldn't speak English very well, so I was denied. Um, wait. So my English was horrible then. So I needed to focus on speaking English. So since April, I've been focusing on English, and eventually I feel like I'm speaking English fluently. I've I feel like I'm speaking English. I feel like I can speak English fluently. I feel like I'm speaking English fluently, so I started seeking job again. I resumed seeking job. I resumed this job hunting. I resumed job hunting. I resumed job hunting. I resumed the job hunting. Job hunting. Job hunt. Job hunting. So I resumed job hunting. You know. You know. I think I didn't. I think we didn't use it properly because Working for a startup company, I was told how to use GitHub properly. I was taught how to teach them something. So when I worked for a startup company, I was taught how to use GitHub properly. So since then, I think I did. Since then, I didn't know how to use them properly, but we struggle. Yeah, we managed to do it. We managed to do it, struggling with it. So it's not the proper way. It's yeah. Since then, it was not the proper way. It was not done properly. It was not done properly. Yes, it was not done properly. It was not done properly. It was not done properly. Yes, so I'm a Baba. So what are you doing this year? I've been focusing on English since I my English in April was so horrible. My English in this April was so horrible. Um Yeah, in April and May, I was preparing for job hunting, job hunting. So I've been focusing on English, learning English. Yeah, through that time, yeah, this is my weakness. This is connected to my weakness, over concentration. But I started relearning. I started relearning, development skills, so IT skills. So this is so fast. This is gonna be so fast because I can read English. I know lots of no, I have now lots of knowledge in English. I have lots of vocabulary for right now. I have lots of vocabulary in English. I have lots of English vocabulary now, so I can learn it in English. English has a lot of documents, so I don't care about it. What do you see yourself in 5 years? Right. Sure. So, sure. What do you see? What do you see what I see? What I see? What I see? What do you see? What do I see myself in 5 years? So, so I've been taking a leave of absence and I'm going to continue one more year. I'm going to continue it one more year. So this is the next year. And the next year, the next year of that year, and the next year of that year. So in 2 years, in 2 years, I'm going to study for the master degree, and I have 3 years left. So then I think I'm going to work for Japanese company or foreign country. It depends. It depends on the situation. Um, it depends on the situation, but I really want to have an experience, have an experience in Japanese company. Um, but I have one. You have one, right? Critically, critical thinking. So it depends, but I really want to continue working in a foreign country in 5 years. I hope I I hope I will continue working in a foreign country since when you speak English, your personality is kind of switched to a confident one. I know the feeling because in Japanese we're polite and don't we don't express yourself. We don't express yourself directly, but in English, yeah, expression is open. Yeah, our expression is open. We do open expression. We are we express ourselves openly, clearly, directly. This is what I love. Yeah. So I strongly wanna have um English working experiences. So working experiences in English for a long time. But eventually, so in 10, so thinking about if thinking of so regarding 10 years, regarding myself in 10 years, I think I will um work in a Japanese company, work for a Japanese company, work in Japan because I love the country, I love the food, I love the safety, I love the safeness. I love the safeness. I love the infrastructure. I love animes, mangas, comics, and so on. Yeah, everything is great. Yeah, because since this is my native country, so I love the country. So in 10 years, so in 5 years, I think I hope I continue working for a foreign company, working in a foreign country because I strongly want to have working experiences in English, working experiences using English, working experiences using English. But in thinking of in 10 years, but let's say 10 years, I think I will go back to Japan and working in Japan since because I love this country so much. Because I love this country so much. It is so hard to have experiences um English experiences. It is so hard to have English immersion. English immersion immersive. So it is hard to be saturated with English. It is so hard to be saturated with English in Japan. I've been doing that. I've been doing that. I've been I've been being that. I've been doing that. But it's so hard because I cannot get in touch with my friends a lot often because I need to use Japanese. I need to use Japanese and I need to switch my brain into Japanese, like Japanese brain. I need to switch my brain into Japanese one. So this is kind of obstructing me. This kind of obstructs me. Obstructs. So it kind of obstruct me. It kind of obstructs me. It kind of obstructs me. Kind of obstruct me. So this situation kind of obstructs me. So I really want to move on to I really want to move to a place or move to a place where I can be saturated with English environment. I moved to the environment where I can be saturated, where I can be saturated with English. Everything is English. Yes, I don't understand Malaysian language. Yeah, sorry, I'm so rude. Um, what do you see in yourself when I talk about it? Describe yourself when conflicting. Conflicting. Describe yourself when conflicting. So when I conflict with people, no, I don't conflict with people because I don't offend people, but when I accidentally offend people and they get angry, then I will um firstly I don't continue talking like I think I st so if I continue speaking, if I continue talking to them, it's kind of disturbing. It's kind of it kind of it might disgust them. So I would stop talking a lot. Well, sometimes talk to them, but yeah, maybe I would stop, talk a lot, and think deeply. Um, so my so think about my fault. If I don't know, if I don't know the fault, if I don't know my fault, I would think about the fault. And if I can't understand, if I don't understand what is my fault, then I would ask them, politely, softly. Yeah. So I I must. So definitely, I definitely try to definitely, absolutely, definitely. So I definitely try not to offend them, attack them. I definitely try not to attack them, offend them. Um, but to solve the problem, solve a relational problem, relational. Do you say relational? Relational concerning the way in which two or more people, okay. Relational problem. So to solve a problem in relationship, um, we need to find what is fault. We need to find what is fault. And sometimes there's no fault. Kind of misinterpretation happens. But yeah, most of the time there's a fault or mistake, which someone makes. So I think I need to find that. But you know, when you talk about anger, when you talk about the anger management, you need to wait for several seconds. So I think I would let them think about it and let myself think about it. So what is the fault? After spending several times, several seconds, I would ask them, um, so could you tell me what did I wrong? What I did wrong? Could you tell me what I did wrong? Because I really want to solve this. And I don't want to make them angry, of course, but since they are already angry, I would be trying to yeah, make them feel better, comfort. I would try to make comfort them. But asking question like what is my fault? This is kind of offending. Could be offending. So could you tell me what I did wrong? Because since I have no idea, but if you have no idea, this is kind of disgusting because you are not. It seems like you're not thinking about it yourself by yourself. So it's kind of disgusting. I don't know. What should I do? I don't know. Let's skip it. So describe yourself when failing. So wait. So if it's not the situation where you are conflicting with people, like when someone is conflicting with another person and you are not involved in it, then what are you going to do? What am I going to do? Describe myself when watching conflicting people. Then okay. So I had one experience in game development. I was a hmm was I a manager? Maybe not. I was not a manager then. I was not a manager then. I didn't expect explain it. I didn't have it since the outcome is not good. Since the outcome is was not great, but that experience was from that experience I learned a lot of things because no one in that group. We have five teammates, including me. We have five people, and no one was any friend. No one was a friend. No one was a friend. No one was a friend with each other. No one was a friend with each other. No one was a friend. No one was a friend with each other. No one was a friend with each other. No one was a friend with each other. We have 5 people and um no one was a friend with each other. No one was a friend with each other. No one was a friend with each other. And one person, one teammate, um one teammate was very shy or kind of um argumentative. Argumentative? No, maybe not.
Argumentative.
Argumentative. What's that? Here. I forgot the name. Um, oh, provocative, provocative, provocative. Like offending behavior.
Provocative.
Provocative. Causing annoyance, anger, another strong reaction, especially deliberately. One teammate really was hesitant. One teammate was hesitant to speak, hesitant to talk or tell what he thinks. One teammate was hesitant to talk or tell what he thinks, and when he opens his mouth, when he opens his mouth, his talking is provocative. His talking is provocative.
Provocative.
Provocative, and he sounded like he was trying to attack us, offend us. So we at first the rest of the the rest of the member the rest four members rest of the rest four members rest the rest of the four members the rest so the four members the rest of the members so the rest of the members of four 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 no what do you say the four other four members so other four members provocative. So one teammate was hesitant to speak or tell what he thinks. So at the beginning, at the beginning, when he opens his mouth, he was always like provocatively talks, provocatively talk to us, provocatively talk to us. So we were so the other four members were struggling with communicating with him. struggling with the communication with him. So, but I needed to solve this situation since I really hoped, I really wanted to complete the project successfully, accomplish the accomplish. I really wanted to accomplish the project successfully. Accom Completely successfully. Accomplish the project successfully. So I really wanted to accomplish the project since so I tried mm, so I tried to contact him. Contact him. Contact him.
Contact.
Contact him. So I started trying to contact him. I started to try I since I really wanted to accomplish the project, I started trying to contact him. What I did was inviting him to a lunch with with a whole with a whole members with a whole members. um and at lunch um, we talked about personal things since only project if we talk only in project if we talk if we talk only in work only when working if we talk only when working it is hard to find um their personality and like personal trait yeah personal tendency or their communication the tendency of their communication their tendency of communication their tendency in communicating their tendency in communicating their tendency in communicating but once we talk about our personal experiences or personal like habits or personal things like habits or what you do in free time. And I was asking him about a lot of things like what are you what are you what are you thinking when what do you think what did you think when something happened something happened like in working and I was trying to seek how he thinks and the tendency of his communication his tendency in communicating his tendency of communication his tendency in communication. So if it fails if I was a manager so if I fail in that situation what I do. So, for example, when he declined the invitation to lunch, he declines if he if he declined my invitation to lunch, what do I do? Okay, let's do it someday. I'm going to seek another way. Yeah, so if he declines, if he refused to tell his personal like habits or experiences, I don't continue asking. Um, but I learn I learned something from that decline from his saying no. Crucial continuous develop strength. But I think I learned something from his saying no, from him saying no to my invitation, because I learned that then I learned that he don't like this, he don't like being invited to lunch. I don't know the reason yet. I don't know the reason yet, but I might I might be able to possibly I might be able to understand it later, but it's not the focus now. It's not the focus. Focus.
Focus.
It's not the focus now. It changes. So the focus toward him, the focus toward him changes over time. But this is not. But if I fail, then I will try to seek another way to like get closer to him. But I think in this situation, if he if he declined my invitation to lunch, I would think like I'd think I'd suppose I would think that he don't like to be he don't like to be invited yet. So I don't continue doing it. But yeah, but I don't believe that he don't like to be got closer to. So I just seek another way to know him, know about him. Yes, I will continue the process process over and over again when I fail. But actually, yeah, I don't give up to, I don't give up knowing about him. But actually, I would learn um his tendency, which might be disliking get invited, disliking being invited by people. I learned something from him. I learned something from him. Um, but to learn something from him, to learn his tendency, I need to take an action. To learn his tendency, I need to take an action to him. I need to take some action toward him. I need to take some action toward him. So I would talk to him over and over again until he gets angry. No, so describe yourself when failing. So for example, so for example, so can I control my mental condition when I fail? I don't know. So mental condition, when is it happening? So when I try um when I try to enter an university, I failed a lot. I failed a lot. I took more than 10, it spent a lot of money. It takes a lot of money, so I don't want to talk about it. I took a lot of examinations. I took a lot of examinations of university. I took examinations of a lot of universities. I took examinations of a lot of universities, but I only passed one university for the at the first year, and I continue this kind of procrastination tendency to me. So I don't want to talk about, but it's okay. It's okay. Describe yourself when failing. Um. So when I fail, for example, in developing stuffs, yeah, I failed several times. I failed a lot of times. Oh, for example, entering university, I I wasn't able to enter my priority, my prime my what how do you say that? First choice, first pick, first choice. What is first choice? First choice. First. First choice meaning the most preferred, highest ranked, or most suitable option out of several alternatives. So my first choice that I really wanted to go. So I wasn't able to go to the university that I really wanted to go. Then I was depressed, but yeah, in that time, and I couldn't control my mental condition for I think half of the year. I think 3 months, 3 months of the year. No, I don't know how long it was, but I experienced the biggest failure. I I experienced the biggest failure, and I often fail in game development, such as um, what was that? Mm, failure. Even though I successfully communicate with him, as for that man, as for the teammate that I talk about, in the conflicting things, um, even though I was successfully communicating with him, I successfully communicated with him. The whole project doomed. Was doomed. The whole project was doomed since our goal was misguided. We tried to make a VTuber stuff. Um, so the name is to be let's become a VTuber. VTuber. Have you ever heard of VTuber? That is the kind a type of YouTuber who disguise themselves with a avatar 3D model model model
model,
model
model, model, model,
avatar
avatar,
avatar. Honestly,
avatar,
avatar avatar avatar
avatar,
avatar avatar
avatar,
avatar avatar
avatar,
avatar avatar
avatar,
avatar avatar. What is avatar? Icon and figure representing a particular person in video games, internet forums, etc. So that is an avatar. Disguise, disguise,
Disguise.
disguise, disguise,
Disguise.
disguise, disguise. Disguise yourself as something. these guys. Okay, so these guys. So these guys, VTuber is a type of YouTuber who disguise themselves with an avatar, 3D model, or 2D model. So we try to make an application that where we can become a VTuber, like with your camera, with your webcam. Webcam.
Webcam.
Webcam. Video camera that is connected to a computer or integrated in a device and allows its images to be seen online. Webcam. 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 Cam.
Webcam.
Cam.
Webcam.
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 Webcam. Webcam. Mm. I was in charge of getting the I was in charge of the angle, getting the angle, capturing the angle. Mm. Body speech recognition, body angle detection. So face angle detection, your face muscle movement detection, face muscle movement detection. Uh, but the reason why it was not good was it only moves in 1 FPS or 1 to 2 FPS. It's so lagging. Okay. So when failing, oh, I was beating around the bush. I was beating around the bush. Beat around the bush. Bush.
Beat around the bush.
Beat around the bush. So I was beating around the bush. Yes. So I was failing in that development experience. So I was really focusing on the communication with him, and I was so yeah. So this is one of my failure experience. Fail. Yes. So I was depressed, but so it was not the first time I mm, so it was not the first so when I invited him to a lunch, it was not the first time I tried to communicate with him. So I think this was maybe third time since yeah, if it's the first time I don't think that I didn't think that he was provocative at all. So yes, this was one of my failing experience that I couldn't properly successfully communicate with him. So I wrote it down. I yeah, when I fail something, I wrote it down. So when I fail in communicating or when I fail in development, um, so yes. So actually, in a small part such as communicating, I was failing a lot, and I wrote it down. Yeah, I write it down. Write it down to Notion or just scraps of paper, scraps of paper. I wrote it down onto a scrap of paper. Yeah, I write it down. I write it down onto a scrap of paper. I write it down onto a I write it down onto a scrap of paper. Write it down onto I write it down. So when I fail something, and a small part such as communicating with people, I write it down on a scrap of paper. I write it down on a scrap of paper. What was my fault? What was their fault? And what should I do? So I'm going to have a. I would have. I will have. So I'm going to try to have. So I try to have an objective perspective, and supervise myself. Supervise myself. Then this is not so from the subjective perspective I cannot kind of things is obstacle to me, but from the objective perspective everything's everything seems small while I'm alive. Wait, so I'm trying to get I'm trying to have a I try to have an objective perspective to supervise myself. Then I take an action after that day because taking an action only gives feedback. So only by taking an action, I think this is the biggest this is the mm, so yeah, this is the easiest way. I think this is the easiest way to get feedback. This is the easiest way to get feedback. So taking an action is the easiest way to get feedback. Um, taking an action, taking an action, because taking an action is the only way, is the easiest way, because taking an action is the easiest way to get a feedback, to get feedback. Taking an action is the easiest way. Taking an action is the easiest way. Taking an action is the easiest way to get feedback. So I of course write it down on a scrap of paper, but I take an action later in order to get feedback. And if I fail again, I'm going to have another scrap of paper and write it down, write my feeling down, write the situation, facts, what they told us, what they told me, what he or she told me, and what I told him, what I said, what was my fault. I remember that. I recall it. Disremember. If I disremember something, I don't care. I forget. I just remember. So yeah. So describe yourself when failing. So, and as for a large mistake, large failing, such as the failure of development or something, actually, that experience I was talking about was a big failure to me, huge failure, because we couldn't accomplish. Yeah, we could we accomplished the communication, but we couldn't accomplish the. I was not a manager then, and I couldn't control my team member. I couldn't control my team member. I wasn't the manager then, and I couldn't control my teammate. But it was, yeah. But from that experience, I learned a lot of things. I could have done lots of things from a as a player, not a manager. I could have done communicate. I could have done communicating with another person. And how is your working, how is your job going? How is your work going? How is your job? How is your progress going? How is your progress going is something I could have asked them lots of things. I could have helped them. But it was not actually it was not my job since I was not a manager, but I could have done a lot of things. So I wrote it down. Of course I of course wrote. So don't be laughing. Don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at what I'm talking about. You know, it's not. It's a serious one. And they want to listen to me, so don't be shy. So so I could have done a lot of things. After failure, I realized lots of things. I write it down. I wrote it down on a scrap of paper or like a memo application on iPhone, on my phone or Notion, everywhere. I don't care where it is. I don't care where it is because I'm going to delete it or yeah, I never look back to it. Look back to it? Do you say look back to it? Think of the past. I'll never look back to it. I just remember I just learned something. You know, when I look back to some experiences, um what I o what I only what I only want what I want to what is the only thing what I want to remember is the not the regret, the feeling of regret. The thing I want to remember is not regret. Not the regression. Let's return to a formula. Regret. Look back to it. So regret. So regret. So the thing I want to remember is not regret, but what I learned from that experience. The thing I want to remember is not regret, but what I learned from that experience. So this is um kind of I saturate myself. I soak it. So I get soaked with it. Soaked with it. Make allow something to become thoroughly wet by immersing. In order not to make the same mistake. In order not to same the mistake. Suck with it. Suck myself with it. Soak myself in it. In a liquid. Soak something in a liquid. Completely soak something. Soak it in a liquid. Completely soak something in a liquid. Completely soak it in a liquid. Completely soak in a liquid. Soak it in a liquid. Soak it in a liquid. Soak it in a liquid. Completely soak it in a liquid. So, let me talk about it again. The thing I want to remember, so I don't care where it is. So I write it down. I write it down on a scrap of paper and I throw it away because the thing I want to remember is not the regret, but what I learned from that experience. So I soak myself in that thing. I soak myself in what I learned and I forget everything. and I throw it away. I think I don't need to regret things. Just learn things from experiences. Learn things from my experiences. Yes. So I don't want to make the same mistakes. And at the same time, I don't want to regret things. Thank you so much. This is my greatest speech. Thank you. You're the first audience. You're the first spectator. I'm fighting with my interview practice. This is so great because you know, listen to my English. This is getting better. This has been so much better than before I started like Anki stuffs. I think I recorded something um without like interruption or without pause. I was trying to record my English speech, like spontaneous English speech. Yeah, it was so not nice, not fluent, but it as for now, as for now, as for now, my English is so better, much better. Do you say so better? So much the better. So much better. Yeah, so much better. My English is so much better. So much the better. So much better. Okay. When do you use so much the better? I don't know. I don't use this. Okay, let's do the typing. Great. I always closes space and offer with language famous two contingencies. Wow. As the approval as part 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 no ne, ne, never specify who the business partner is. Most people don't know that my partner is my cat. Greatest. If they say, who cares if one more light goes Great. 3, 2, 1.マドリンコメッツォくだらないねとかそれまでのかまだだってなんもないのにバイバイ